start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order to business will be a public hearing for a local law amending Chapter 220 related to tobacco retail licensing, decreasing the number of licenses from 29 to 28. May I have a motion to open that?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So the purpose of this local law, is, as the supervisor stated, to reduce the number of tobacco retail licenses available within the town of Salina from 29 to 28. Additionally, it does contain one other change, which is to increase the licensing fee to $400. The board already approved that increase at the organizational meeting. It is contained in this local law for purposes of memorializing that approval and ensuring that when E-codes, where you can get the code online, updates our code, that it reflects, there's a specific section in the code that deals with the fee amount. This will ensure that it properly reflects what the board did back at the org meeting, increasing the fee to $400. Other than that, there's no change in the requirements that are applicable to tobacco retail establishments within the town of Salina.
I have Denise Andrew signed up to speak.
Who is signed up to speak?
Denise Andrew.
C'est moi.
Okay.
AKA Cameron Operator.
Good evening all, Denise Sandberg, 128 Hamden Drive. I just want to say bravo to the reduction and to express two concerns. One of it, which is a really stringent, careful review of the proximity of whatever is opened, that they're not near churches that have school, pre-K, infant, early school age children in programs maybe before or after school there. And in my own experience, the tobacco shop on Court Street, my opinion, is far too close to Lynn Court School. And another suggestion is if one opens and gets the license to be there, if they end up closing, can we shrink the licenses even further? The fewer of these shops we have, the better.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Board members? Any comments?
I kind of like the idea of shrinking the, of attrition, shrinking my attrition.
Next page.
Counselor, do we have
It's
a
not,
mechanism for that?
I would have to review if we could implement a mechanism as opposed to simply a local law revision at any future point to reduce the licenses. We probably could adopt a local law that we probably could adopt a local law that established the current amount of licenses and establish the fact that in the future only X will be authorized, which would have the effect of it would have an attrition effect on the number that are out there. That would require another local law with another public hearing, just so you know. So I would say today's a step in the right direction, based on, at least in your opinion, based on the comment you made. If the board wants me to review or prepare something to take that farther, I certainly could do that.
I think
What
we
we would have
actually have something in the.
Mark, isn't that what we're doing currently?
A
that's what we're doing.
And I was not the attorney at the time that this was brought up, so it may be that you may be correct, Paula, that one closed, so we are reducing the number. I'm simply pointing out that the possibility does exist, that we could draft yet another local law that would make that occurrence somewhat more automatic,
Instead of having to do this.
instead of having to do this every time.
Thank you, Counselor.
Motion to approve a resolution adopting a local, I'm sorry,
Did we close, we have to close the public hearing.
close the public hearing?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion to approve a resolution adopting a local law amending chapter 220 related to tobacco retail licensing, decreasing the number of licenses from 29 to 28.
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Dave, you need to call the roll for the
Yeah.
local law.
No.
Passed. Residents wishing to speak at town board comments?
I have Kim Hoover signed up to speak.
Good evening, Kim Hoover, 233 Garden City Drive, Mattydale. Just two concerns that have come to light in my area. First being, and this was brought up a few years ago by me, tractor trailers parking on 7th North Street on the side of the road, both sides, in front of the stadium, where Pilot is there as well. This winter, we've had a lot of snow. 2 trucks were literally plowed in because the plows had cleared the road and were there for about 4 days. Now the trucks, other trucks, are parked closer to the edge of the road because of the snowbanks. We had originally, when Stadium had brought this up, probably about 5 years ago, they were unable to have some of their customers leave their parking lot because they could not see around the tractor trailers parked on the side of the road. And the reason they're parked there is because Pilot has not enough parking for the tractor trailers at their facility. It is very dangerous, and in the summertime, they actually park on the 81 on-ramp to 81 North. Now, I've been seeing this for a long time. It's getting more and more and more, but this winter has really brought it to light that is very dangerous in that area because a lot of it is pretty dark, for people actually driving on the roads. So that is a big concern. I don't know who's responsible for that area of the road, whether it is a town, county, or state.
It's a county road.
County?
But we had no parking signs on one side in front of the stadium. They're all gone. And they still park. They still got potholes that they're creating, as well as garbage. And I see it all the time. That's my first concern. My second concern is the Big Lots building on Brewerton Road, full of boats that probably still have fuel in them.
Nope.
What are we doing about that?
Nope.
Absolutely they do,
Nope.
Mark.
Nope.
Well, most boat places
Nope.
have proper ventilation, but what are they there? Who's buying it? Is it been written someplace? But the taxpayers are paying the bill on that because the lights on are 24/7. The lights are on 24/7. So who is responsible and what's gonna happen? Because the town residents, right now, if anything happens in that building, is there a contract, is there a sale, something, because there's nothing. So that is a concern since that's about 4 blocks from my house. Something's not right.
So with respect to the big lots, first of all, your first comment, the town obviously has the authority to place no parking signs on roadways that are town roads. My understanding is we don't, that's all we have. We do not have authority to put them on county routes, we don't have authority to put them on state routes.
But we did.
I can't speak to what somebody else did.
The town did it.
And again, I can't speak to what they did, I can only say that if I was asked as the attorney, hey Dave, legally, can we put no parking signs on a county road? My answer would be no. We can't, we can't. And we certainly can't put them on state roads, which would, in my opinion, probably be the on-ramp you mentioned to 81, where they're also backing up onto that. That's gonna be state-owned property, we also don't have the authority to do that. To the extent that any portion of that is a town road, and the board is inclined to erect no parking signs on that, we certainly could. I'm not disputing anything that you said, I'm just trying to tell you legally what we're allowed to do and we can't.
So who do we contact to correct that situation? Because the potholes, the garbage, especially in the summer, those tractor trailers, one time I counted 23 tractor trailers on both sides of the road and the on-ramp. That is very dangerous.
Absolutely, and in addition to bringing that concern, legitimate concern to the board, so that they're aware of it, as a resident, you're a county taxpayer, you're a state taxpayer. You certainly can contact county DOT in regards to any portion, I believe you said, 7th North is a county road, correct? Yeah, okay, so he's letting them know right now.
Yeah, because they don't give a rat's ass.
And the state of New York, I know.
Correct, Mark? Didn't we go through this once before? They don't care
They may not, and unfortunately,
until someone gets killed.
the board is constrained to only be allowed to do things that are within the law,
Mm-hmm.
which would include no parking on
Right,
Thomas
I
Alino
understand
roads
that.
as opposed to county or state. Oh,
But as far as getting the ball rolling in regards to an issue,
well, I think the engineer just said he's emailing,
We have done it several times.
so.
yeah, I mean, we've had our town codes, everybody has tried. It's just getting dangerous, but when I saw the trucks actually plowed in because of the snow we had this year, who plows the roads?
County.
Okay, how could they not see that they were plowing in tractor trailers?
I agree. And I'm
So,
sure,
so I mean,
I'm
that
sure
is,
the board
but it's a
agrees.
dangerous situation when those trucks try to leave. But now, because of the snowbanks, there's been so much snow, the trucks are right on the line. And if,
Write me up an email and I'll copy Ellen, who is also,
oops, sorry.
write me up an email and I'll copy Ellen Block, who is our county ledge for our area. And so maybe in addition to the county Department of Transportation people, she can put a little bit of weight on that as well.
Okay.
And that is, as far as big lots go, I guess first and foremost, this board, that sits here now, did not approve the current utilization of the big lots building. I have been instructed to, and I am looking into what has been going on and how it's being utilized at the moment and what is going to be happening.
Are they paying rent? Are they paying utilities? Are they paying anything?
I am not aware that there is any rent being paid at the moment. I do believe that the most recent utilities have been, paid by them, is my understanding, but I will try to confirm that, and you can certainly reach out to my office about that. It is something that is on the forefront of the board's mind at the moment.
Because it is a liability, and it's a liability on the taxpayers if nothing is in writing. I already know they poked holes in the building. And I know it has asbestos. My husband was a contractor, and he worked on that building when it was Big Lots, and the former owner. And he pulled off the job because it had a lot of asbestos in it. So now they're poking holes in the building,
Understood.
so, okay.
Understood, and the board's aware of it, and the board is not ignoring that, and in the 2 months that they've been constituted as the board that took office this January, it is one of the issues that they are addressing, as promptly as possible.
Okay, thank you.
I have no other residents signed up to speak.
Any other comment?
I didn't sign up, but can I speak?
Ellen Ellen Mullen, 109 Ridgefield Boulevard. Just to piggyback off of Kim Hoover. So the town board owns the, or the town owns big lots. So the town, or we are paying the taxes on it?
We don't really pay taxes.
No.
We might have to pay some special district charges for anything like a highway or a fire and or a sewer district charge.
Okay,
But
so-
yes, the town, as far as I've been able to ascertain at this point, the town owns it,
The
yes.
town owns it. All right, that's all I wanted to know. All right, thanks.
And by the way, we sent them the utility bills. I believe they paid.
Lights are still on today, so either they paid it or the power company's slow about turning it off.
May I have a motion to approve the February 9th, 2026 meeting minutes, please?
Second.
All those in favor? Town engineer, may I have a motion to authorize a one-time payment of $1,970 to the owner of 407 Boulevard Street, 063.12-10.0 for sewer repairs, funded by the 2025 budgetary account, town repairs, Pitcher Hill, Mattydale sanitary sewers, to pay for the town's portion of such repairs.
So the property owner had a sewer backup and called the plumber to fix it. Everybody who has a sewer backup in the town should call Onondaga County Water Environment Protection at 315-435-3157 anytime of the day. They'll come out and send a house crew to get your, they won't do the repairs, but they'll likely get you serviced by your time so things aren't backing up in your house. This person didn't do that. They called a plumber. Plumber replaced their line from the house to the trap, and then, which is theirs, and then from the trap to the main, it's the town's portion of the lateral. They put all new in, solved those problems with our 15-foot of sewer lateral, and replaced it while they're there. So we're reimbursing them for work that should have been ours.
My understanding from the conversation I had with you on this is that they actually did it at much lower cost than it would have cost for the town to have done it with our usual contractors.
Likely, our contractor is a 3-person crew. I believe the crew that's out there is a 2-person crew, and the town's required to pay prevailing wage rates to the contractors. So all that ups the price.
So this is actually a savings for the taxpayers.
Yes, but this isn't gonna be a status quo. This is a one-off. This is a practice we want. We want our contractor to do the work. They've been vetted. That's the end we want. County call us, tell us it's our problem. We'll get our contractor out there. Usually within 24 hours.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, question?
Just a quick question, how do we prevent it from somebody calling again and it just being repeated?
I don't know how we do that. I've been doing this for 24
This is
years. It's the first time it's ever happened.
Okay.
In talks with the town attorney. It's the first time it's in his distinguished career. It's come across. Between the two of us, there's a lot of years there.
It doesn't happen frequently. The circumstances, as I believe were related to me and as you discovered yourself, it was not done, I wouldn't use the word maliciously, but it wasn't done in defiance of what our procedures are. It was an honest mistake, and there was work that needed to be done on the part of the line that was ours.
They just did it while the hole was open.
And they did it while the hole was open. So it doesn't routinely happen. Obviously, if it were to become an issue, the board could, say we're not reimbursing if you don't follow what we've, everybody should know, which is contact the town, contact Water Environment Protection.
But maybe we
But in
should-
this one instance, it was a very unique circumstance. I've never come across this in 30+ years, so.
Could we just put it on the website or, so it's listed somewhere?
I think it probably already is on our website, but sure, if it's not up there, we could put it up there. If you have a sewer problem, be sure to call this number.
Jason, in the event something happens with the town side, is that town's liability, is it the company that,
It's the company that did the work, we would go after them for that.
okay,
We did have WEP go back out and televise the lateral, make sure that the work was done. It was done before we found out about it, so we had to televise from the inside to make sure connections, everything were made.
The results were it was done correct.
That's correct.
Any other comments, questions? May I have a motion to authorize?
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next motion is to approve cleanup orders. Tax map number 059.02-67.02804 Brewerton Road. Tax map number 052.01-02.0 423-425 Brookfield Road. C, tax map number 08.06-02.0 405 Fairmont Ave. And D, tax map number 088.05-30.0 151 Old Liverpool Road. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next order of business, a discussion by the Planning and Development Department regarding a new hotel at 3705 Brewerton Road.
Good evening. The supervisor asked me to just give you guys a heads up what's happening on Brewerton Road. On the wall here, in the yellow box, is the old Catella's restaurant, and they're proposing a hotel there. It's going to, it's a Holiday Inn brand. They haven't told us the exact brand yet, but as you're looking at the lot itself, I don't know, can you see the pink box? That's going to be the hotel. This is the lobby. This is the second means of egress, the set of stairs, but this is the hotel. And underneath that hotel is gonna be the parking for the site. So they're going to raise the building up, and all underneath the building will have parking underneath it. And that's what it's gonna look like from the outside. And inside, I think is, what do we got? Oh, that's the site itself. That's the old, that's the property with the old building on it. And, they're gonna tear that building down and put a hotel there. Any questions on the hotel? We're set there.
Mark, is that gonna be a peak roof or a flat roof?
Flat roof.
Is there gonna be some type of, cause that particular area of Route 11, I mean, there's a light at Aldi's, there's a light down a little farther, you know, is there gonna be something, a light or something, a turn lane?
The state wouldn't give you a light there anyway for in front of that. There'll be, if I go back to, I think, this one, yeah, blow it up a little bit.
Is there a turn lane there?
Yeah, it's a right in. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong one. There's Route 11. You're in and out on this north side of the site. So it's just one way in, one way out. I think there's 75 rooms. Yes. 75 rooms. That's all I got on that, sir.
Any questions as we move forward in terms of development in that area? I'd like to move to number 9, a discussion including public comment regarding an adoption of codes to govern filming in the town of Salina outside of the village of Liverpool.
Again, Mr. Supervisor, you're absolutely correct. The film studio is coming out to the town more often, and we have no mechanism to control what they do, how they do, and when they do it. So if we can send this to the Codes Task Force and tweak it to the town of Salina, I'd love to make that happen.
May I just comment as a denizen of the village? A lot of things happen when you don't have codes. We do have them in the village. However, they've been modified over time. American High and the people connected to it have been filming as late as 10 o'clock at night. And that's intense light. And we've had to get them to not do that. In addition, power is needed when you do that. And one of the issues that the village had was the unit that was used to produce power polluted the holy heck out of the neighborhood. And I was walking my dog one night, my 2 dogs one night, and let me tell you, it started feeling like I was like in old LA. I mean, my lungs started to hurt. It was really quite bad. A lot of people were complaining about it. Eventually they went to a generator that doesn't produce a lot of pollution. And so we need to really begin to think about this. And I would just simply add, if somebody comes to your neighborhood and wants to use your house as an exterior, how much do you think you should ask them for?
$1 million. And they'll move on.
No, right. And so be careful, especially sometimes they'll think everybody's a rube. And one of my friends, they said, well, can we use the exterior of your house? We'll pay you $250. What do you think? And he thought, well, maybe. And then they went back to him and said, now for that $250, can we go inside your house? Now, in LA or any other place in which there's a lot of movie making, every exterior that belongs to you, they should be paying you for it. Okay? You could ask $150, $250. If you don't want them there, ask $1 million. If they want to come inside, make sure it's bonded. The person that's there is bonded. That they put you up somewhere else. Okay? Nice hotel, not in some little flea bag place, but a nice hotel. And once again, you'll want to make sure you get your money. Okay? Be really cautious. Be really cautious. Denise?
So it sounds like that's what we need to have in the codes governing this for throughout the town. I mean, we should use the experience to
Well,
prevent
the-
problems?
The village has its own codes now, and they're really strict. And, I think we should pretty much follow what the village did. I'm gonna talk to, the supervisor for Cicero, suggest that he do the same. And if we protect ourselves in that way, we won't be taken advantage of, okay? I mean, that's what happens. So,
Part of the village code that governs the moving is requiring a permit.
we'll have a permit process.
It's a permitting process
Yeah,
that pretty much details what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do. So it isn't just show up and go and shoot. There's a permit in place.
no, precisely in the village, no. But I'm saying right now, they can just go out here, outside of the village, and just start shooting. Say, you know, we're gonna pay you this, we're gonna do that. We need a code to govern what happens in the rest of the town. It's not gonna supersede what happens in the village, okay?
Does Onondaga County have a person or office in charge of interfacing with films and such? I know a lot of municipalities do.
The answer is yes, and I might add that when the village wanted to tighten up that process, a lot of pressure came from the county exec to not have anything happen, to make it more strict there. Now, you must realize, American High and the people connected to it, they're now making 8 films in Georgia. They're gonna probably make 2 or 3 up here. Why? The light. It's easier to shoot in Georgia because it's sunny. That's why the movie studios moved from New York to Los Angeles. So it's really a summer kind of issue for us, spring through fall. That will be what happens there. But for the village, I think the code is relatively strict and fairly good. And I think we should adopt big chunks of it and then modify it to what we need in the rest of the town. Yes?
Are there stipulations for exceptions? Like, could they apply for a permit if they needed an exception, like they're gonna shoot at Hyde's again at 11 o'clock at night? If it makes sense to the board and the residents? Because, you know,
It has been, largely those things have been rejected in the village.
okay.
And it's up to the codes officer,
Mhm.
okay, to begin to make those decisions and distinctions, okay? I mean, that's why you don't see the filming like we used to have in the village at those hours, and in fact, those exterior
They've
lights.
been out here,
Pardon me?
they've been out here.
Yeah, I know.
Because I know when, what is it, Manodrome, I think, was filming at Raylands, they basically filmed overnight while Rayland was closed so that they wouldn't disrupt business. So, situations like that, is, you know, if we make it so that they can't film overnight in a location, then that will discourage their business from continuing here. Which some people may not see as a problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you want me to come up or can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
My question is, doesn't, the town, are they part of the town or just the village of Liverpool? They're taxpayers, right? So if they're pushed out, right, they're not generating those funds anymore.
I'm sorry,
My question is, where are these folks paying their tax for their property and their business? My name is Pam, I live at 106 B Lane, Pattysville, New York. My question is, this company, did you say it was Hollywood? What was it?
American High.
have
they're the
taxpayers
people
in
that
the
bought
town of
Zog.
Salina and Liverpool Village, or just the Liverpool Village? Taxpayers, where do they pay tax for their property and their business?
Aren't they tax exempt?
There's been a question about how much of it is a school, how much of it is a business, and that's been an ongoing discussion.
That's what
within the village.
that was my question, because by putting these in, are they pushing a taxpayer out of the general area? Because people don't want them in this area filming. That's my thought process. It's all, I'm not for or against, it's just a question. Because you could do that to anybody if you didn't want them.
If you ask the people in the neighborhood around where Zog
Yes.
is, there's been a lot of pushback. There's been a lot of complaints, and they've complied and made it a little easier for people to live their lives. And that was really the problem. It's much better now after a negotiation between the mayor and American High. So
I like to play the devil's advocate, why is somebody doing something and they just want them gone? That's where I was coming from. I try to think of both sides. So that's all I have.
So, no, it's just be a good neighbor. And that's really what living in the village, what we've been arguing, just be a good neighbor. Be considerate. And that's really been the issue. And as I said, they've moved most of their production now to Georgia. 8 films are being made in Georgia now, as opposed to like 3 up here. Questions, comments?
Are they tax exempt?
No.
No,
Just looked
so
it up.
they pay
Oh, you just
tax.
looked-
They pay, town, county, school, and village.
They-
They pay pretty good.
And people go back and forth about what goes on and how much they should pay, et cetera. So it's the usual.
That goes
Yeah, every business, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? 10, presentation of the town's comprehensive plan by Sam Gordon from EDR. Sam.
My suggestion is maybe you guys should come down so you can see it a little better. Might be better if you guys sit down here with us, so you can really see it.
I'm gonna get a copy of this file afterwards.
It's on the internet, it's on the website.
It's on the town's website. Okay.
You want me to push it while you're up there? Oh, okay. Yep. Oh, needs to be focused.
All right, I'm gonna move back and forth to the computer. Can you all hear me okay? Without the microphone? Okay, if you can't, please just let me know. I'll try and keep my voice up. So the first thing I want to say, first, thank you to the supervisor and the board for inviting me to be here this evening and to give an overview of the comprehensive plan. I will just say, so that you know, it is available on the town's website, and it was adopted, I believe September 30th, 2025. So the document was adopted by the previous board, but I think the supervisor was interested, given the change here in the town, to make sure that all the board members are aware of what was adopted, and any members of the public that are here as well. So does everyone here know what a comprehensive plan is? Who doesn't? And it's okay if you don't know. All right. So in New York State, comprehensive plans are something by state law that are optional for municipalities. The town of Salina, prior to the adoption of this plan, has never had a comprehensive plan before. The purpose of the plan is to inform your zoning and land use decision making. They can also be used to inform capital improvements or capital investments or other town policies. So that was the purpose of this document. And from the time that we started working with the town, it was expressed to us that there was an interest in looking at updating the town's zoning code more holistically, which, while there are periodic changes and updates and tweaks that are made to codes, I don't know when the last time that might have been done for the town of Salina. Maybe could be
60s.
Yeah, in the 1960s. So it's been a long time since there was a holistic overhaul of the town zoning. So in this document, we did summarize the community engagement that we did to support this planning effort. We did hold a few public meetings that were here at Town Hall. We also did go to some events out in the community, like the summer concert series in the Village of Liverpool. We also did offer a community survey to get input from residents within the town about what issues did people have, what concerns did they have, and what sorts of things did they want to see in the town. So all of that information has been incorporated into different parts of the document. When we developed this document, we followed the framework that had been set up in the county. Has a countywide plan, which I happen to also have worked on. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see there's kind of 4 areas that we focused on in this plan: greenways and blueways, housing and neighborhoods, strong centers, and community mobility. Those are the themes that are in the plan document, and there's essentially a chapter on each one of those. For each chapter, there are a series of goals and then strategies for how to achieve those goals. And it's a 120+ page document. So obviously I can't get into all of it with you this evening. What I'll do is just give you as much of an overview as I can, and if there are questions as I go, please feel free to ask them. Okay? And I'm actually going to start towards the back, because I always read from back to front. And the reason to start at the back is because, as I said, the overarching purpose of this plan document was to think about zoning changes that could be implemented in the town. So to do that, we developed what we call a future land use map or vision for the future of the town. And you can see that there are specific, what we call character areas that we identified. And those are in the lower right-hand corner here. So areas identified as residential neighborhood, areas identified as traditional neighborhood. We have a multi-unit neighborhood, which is the first two, residential neighborhood and traditional neighborhood, are areas where we have single-family homes within the town of Salina. And as you know, that there are different parts of the town, like Mattydale, for example, areas around the village of Liverpool, and even kind of north of Liverpool. So we tried to build into this some of the distinction that you find, and also, I forgot Lincourt, right? So those areas that are yellowish are really the kind of residential parts of the town. The multi-unit neighborhood that's more orange, you'll see there's a few different areas that are identified as that. Those are areas where there are apartments in the town, or we want to foster some new apartment type development. And then the dark pink, which really follows Buckley Road, Brewerton Road, Old Liverpool Road, Factory Ave, and what's 7th North Street also. So those areas we call Main Street District, and what the plan talks about for those areas is allowing for more what we call mixed use development. And so in this plan, so we have the future land use map that I just showed you. And then for each character area that I was just running through quickly, we have more of a description of what's the intent of that character area, what are the characteristics that you would experience there, and what uses do we anticipate would be allowed. Okay? So for the Main Street District, this would be, again, focused on the commercial corridors in the town of Salina. We would be looking for the establishment over time, it doesn't happen overnight, of more kind of mixed use, what we call mixed use walkable neighborhood areas. And that means there would allow for apartment units, but typically, that's not me. Typically in conjunction with some sort of retail type space on the first floor. Okay? Currently, mixed use has been allowed in a few different parts of the town, but usually it's allowed by what we call in a planned development district, or it's only a special case. So what this change would do would be to allow more flexibility in more parts of the town to allow for that the type of development to occur. And for the most, it's not allowed now. And again, it's been allowed on a case-by-case basis. Right? So that is I think a major difference or proposed change in the town from what's allowed today. So to give you an example, on Buckley Road, you're all familiar with Salina Meadows, right? So Salina Meadows is an office park. So the only thing that you have there are offices. What this would do, if the zoning was updated in accordance with what the future land use plan is saying, is allow for more flexibility in a place like Salina Meadows. So you could still have offices, but you may also have some sort of residential options there too, and as well as some commercial options. So maybe there's a restaurant in there. So somebody who works in Salina Meadows would actually be able to walk outside their office and go grab lunch. Or they might also be able to live and in that same area and walk to work, for example.
So it's a European town center model where there's businesses on the first floor, residents upstairs.
It would allow for that kind of development, yes. Yeah. But as you see, so we say there's multi-unit dwellings, townhouses would be allowed in this kind of area, multi-story mixed use, that's the type of building I was just describing, where you have retail on the first floor and apartments above. So there could be a variety of housing types that are more close together. And right now, the town's code doesn't allow that. So we allow single family or townhouses in certain areas. We allow commercial retail to happen in another area. We allow apartments in another area, but we don't allow them to all happen in the same space. And that's what this would do. Any questions about? Yeah, yes.
Do you have any examples of, like, closer municipalities that might have something similar to this that we could kind of wrap our mind around? Something a little closer than that. I get it, yeah. But I didn't know if there was anywhere closer to us that already is doing something like this.
So, in central New York, there are, you're asking is there a project in central New York where I could go and see something like this built? That's what you're asking. And there was an answer that there are, for example, downtown locations. So we have places like downtowns in the middle of Skaneateles, or where you have development like this. But new construction, there are very few examples right around us.
Shopping Town wants to do this.
Yeah.
Great Northern Mall wants to do this.
No, I think it sounds good.
Right, yes.
I'm just wondering, is there anywhere we
We're all
could drive
driving
around?
on the same.
Oh,
Isn't,
no,
isn't
I'm
that
just
sort of
trying-
what they're doing down by the inner harbor where that, down off, I forget,
Yes.
the Van Venture
Solar.
Van Rensselaer, I think
Yes.
it is?
Yep.
With that complex,
Yeah,
the shops, and then the apartments above
Yes,
it.
Iron Pier, that's called. Iron Pier, yeah, that's a great example, yes.
Isn't the old Lemoyne Manor site, businesses on the bottom and apartments above?
Two businesses and apartments in one building. It's one building only. This would allow everybody's.
Okay, but, because I remember that coming up to be voted and
Yes.
changed for mixed use.
Yes.
That's,
That is, yes, that is an example you
that's
have
right.
here in the town. And also the Candle Factory project, that is also a mixed-use project.
okay.
But the projects that have been approved, most recently, like those two, were handled on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
Right? So making this change would allow more of that to happen. So Iron Pier is a great
Iron
example.
Pier.
The best example that I know of in New York State is actually in the Hudson Valley. It's outside of Poughkeepsie, and it's called Eastdale Village, and I'm happy to share it with you. Yeah, it's not super far away, but it's a great example. They have townhouses, apartments, and mixed-use buildings and offices all within one brand new neighborhood that was built from the ground up.
Downtown Saratoga too.
Yeah,
That main
yes,
99 corridor, that's.
sure. Yeah, Saratoga Springs is like that, and actually outside of Route 12 going towards Malta, there is a newer development that does this kind of thing too. Yeah.
Samuel, question here.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a plan I think on the town website, it was kind of like, started in 2020 with the census, and then things from 2021 and 22 were added. And then it talks about like where the Kmart is staying, and then right in the presentation, it shows like how where Kmart was, how they were
That was there when it was made.
building, apartment complex, apartment buildings,
I worked in the
and
Anthony Center.
office buildings,
Yes.
dog offices, and a restaurant, and I thought it was on the town website.
So there was a plan that was developed by SMTC, which is the Regional Transportation Planning Agency for Brewerton Road.
Yes.
that looked at the Kmart site, yes. And actually, we incorporated some of what they showed for that in this plan as well, yes. Yeah.
I have a question if I could. I asked that when I was on Zoom with the board. Is there really enough retail investment possible in our area? You're talking about these other Hudson Valley places. That's one thing, we have some small mixed-use kind of things that are, it's like a convenience store.
Yeah.
Sam, I can answer
Can you
that one.
really tell me?
Micron, when they start, not just the business itself, but all the built businesses that have to support Micron, you know, as they say, build it, they will come. Well, when you start Micron, they're gonna have businesses that have to support Micron, so you're still gonna have a lot of people coming to, what they're proposing and saying is we're gonna have a lot of people coming in here.
Well,
I'm
So,
talking about the retail end of it.
Yeah,
that-
so-
if we're here, retail will come. That's the reason they left, is because we all went to Amazon, right? We all shop online now, so all the stores are gone. If we start go knocking on doors, they'll come back.
There's another answer to there's an additional answer to your question that you're asking. So when we look at this district, we're not just allowing not every building is going to be mixed use. Not every building would have retail in it. In order to make the retail successful, you need to have people living around it as well. So if we took Salina Meadows as an example, and let's say there was additional development that happened there, and you had offices, apartments, some mixed use with retail, and also we're saying townhouses would be allowed. So it's a variety of different housing types within close proximity to those retail spaces. And I'm not talking big box, I'm not talking, 15,000, like, think about Kmart Plaza or where Raymore and Flanagan is now. That's not what we're talking about. It's much smaller scale, more like the Iron Pier in the Inner Harbor if you've been there, or you could think about if you've been to Armory Square, and there's much smaller restaurants, retail spaces, more on that scale. That's what this would allow. And Franklin Square, yeah, another good example.
My stepdaughter's former apartment complex in North Carolina, they had a community like this where there were a whole bunch of townhouses, but the 4 or 5 buildings that were closest to the main highway, they had residents upstairs, and then they had boutiques, a couple of restaurants, a pizza shop, a bar, and a small grocery store in the first floor. So you could theoretically live in that group of apartments and never actually have to leave the driveway to go shopping and go out and have a good time with your friends. Or the dog groomer, which was also in the complex in one of the little shops.
Okay. So as I was saying, there's 4 themes in this plan, right? One is housing and neighborhoods. So each one has a vision statement. You can see it up there on the screen. Protect and enhance the livability of residential communities by ensuring a diversity of housing options and also promoting investment or reinvestment in existing housing. Okay. So there's a few things that we heard through our process of working in the town. One is that one of the most important things I think for the town of Salina is you have, of all the towns in Onondaga County, you have some of the most affordable housing stock, right? That's an asset that you have. And we call that, in our terms, naturally occurring affordable housing. People call it NOAH, naturally occurring affordable housing. That's because when when significant portions of the town line were built, it was post-war. People were looking for a smaller house to get started. We don't build a lot of starter homes anymore as a country and in our region. So it's really important that we protect that resource for the town's line. We've built some suggested strategies into this document of how to do that. So just to throw something out there for you. For example, my concern, we talk about Micron, there is going to be a lot of development pressure in Onondaga County, like we haven't seen for most of our lifetimes, right? It will be a significant change for us. So one outcome of that could be that someone comes and they buy every 2 houses and they want to tear those down and build one bigger house, right? There goes our naturally occurring affordable housing. So we feel it's important in the town zoning to place some limits on lot sizes, house sizes in those areas, okay? So I hear a lot in the communities I work in, we don't want things to change. If we don't want things to change, we have to be very intentional about what we do allow, right? And so the plan does speak to some of those things that could be done. We also heard that there are people in the town that, even though we have affordable housing, we know costs are going up. Some people have trouble affording to make the improvements in their home that need to be made. And I understand the town has in the past worked, for example, with Home Headquarters, which is a local nonprofit here in central New York that does provide assistance to homeowners to make improvements to their homes. And we think that that's something that should continue. We should continue to provide that resource. And there may be, for example, opportunities to work with the local banking community to bring them in to help with that issue as well. And the third piece to this is that there areas like Linkport and Mattydale especially have unique, what we call infrastructure, but what I mean is sidewalks, for example. We don't build neighborhoods like that anymore, or typically. So that's also a unique asset that the town has. And we feel it's really important to continue to invest in that asset. So what has happened over time is the sidewalks haven't been maintained and they have fallen into disrepair. And what makes a sidewalk most effective is when you have a system that you can walk on, right? So when the system falls into disrepair, suddenly the sidewalk doesn't have as much of a benefit to you as a resident. So in Syracuse, this was also an issue. Syracuse put together a new program. It does cost property owners money because there's an assessment district in Syracuse for all the areas that have sidewalks. The property owners pay into that, and the city goes out on a proactive basis and is investing in the sidewalk system. I'm not saying that's what you have to do in Salina. I'm saying that's something they're doing in Syracuse, and it's been really effective. And Syracuse is not alone. There are other communities in central New York that have also done that. The other one that I'm most familiar with is Ithaca. They did something very similar. Okay. Yes?
And we do that in the village.
Yeah.
The sidewalks are maintained by the village.
Yeah. It's a little bit more complicated. I'm sure Mr. Nicola can speak to this because villages have different powers than towns have. So you have to have a special district in the town, but we won't get into that right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So as I said, there's vision and goals. For each of the sections of the plan, we talked about why this is important. So, for example, we understand there's already development pressure occurring in the town of Salina, especially for different types of housing products. Lemoyne Manor would be a good example, the redevelopment of Lemoyne Manor, the candle factory project in the town of Salina is another, and I know there's other projects that have been surfacing in the town. I think you guys were talking about the Comfort Inn earlier, which I know that project's not moving forward, but that was a developer looking to redevelop a hotel into apartment units. There's a lot of pressure for that around Onondaga County. And what I will say is, leading up to 2008, 2009, in the U.S. as a whole, a primary driver of our economy was building single-family homes. Okay? We all know the market crashed, the housing market crashed 2008, 2009. Why did that happen? Anybody know?
Too much of it.
So what's that?
Too much.
Too much of it.
Too many new homes.
Yeah. So
Subprime lending.
Yeah.
that's also part of it. But the thing that really happened is the household formation in the United States has shifted dramatically. Okay? We haven't caught up to that here in upstate New York because we haven't had a lot of growth in a long time. But 1970, 3/4 of all first-time home buyers in the United States were households with kids. Okay? 3/4 of all first-time home buyers in the United States in 1970 were households with kids. Okay? By 2018, it was less than 20%. Okay? This is really what happened. This is why the housing market crashed, because we're looking for different types of housing products. We still need single-family homes, they're not going away, but because of those changes in household formation, we need different things. We do need more apartments, and we need different types of housing. So for seniors, houses that are all on one floor, right? We don't have a lot of that here, and we don't have enough senior housing in central New York. These are all issues that we're facing. So we talked about this in your plan. The need for a variety of housing types to respond to changing preferences and changing household dynamics. We need to make sure that we're reinvesting in the town's housing stock, including that NOAA housing that I talked about, the naturally occurring affordable housing. And we also know you have an aging population as well, and we need to make sure that that seniors have an opportunity to age, what we call age in place, which might be staying in your home, it might be moving to an option where you're going to live all on one floor, and it could be a senior housing option. These are things that we need to provide for. Like I said, there's a lot in this document. I can't cover it all, but I'm going to hit the highlights for you, okay? Yeah. All right. So there's also a community mobility section. Actually, you know what? Let me go back. Strong centers. I skipped over this. So, Strong Centers is about ensuring the long-term viability of the town's commercial corridors by allowing for adaptive land uses that respond to changes in lifestyle preferences. What do I mean by that? I mean, you think about Lemoyne Manor being redeveloped into the apartments that we have. Think about the candle factory that was industrial manufacturing facility. Now it's being transformed into apartments, restaurants, maybe a hotel, lots of different things happening on that campus, right? We have commercial areas of the town. Someone already mentioned the old Kmart Plaza, which I remember as the place that I got to go to birthday parties for Chuck E. Cheese when I was growing up.
That's right.
I didn't mention this, but I grew up in Chittenango, so, you know, that plaza was a thriving place at one point. I think it's a far cry from thriving now. This is also because these other changes have been happening, changes in our retailing preferences, changes in where we want to live. So for example, we want to make sure that we are allowing for the redevelopment of places like the Kmart Plaza into something that meets all of these changing preferences. So this is an example, and let's see, can you see the cursor? So this is the old Kmart Plaza, right? This is Zeb's, great hamburgers, I really miss it. But now we're showing kind of new, almost like a new street on the interior of that property where Kmart Plaza was, right? This is what we're talking, this is the kind of change that we're talking about. And each of these buildings, they could be a combination of apartments and some retail space on the first floor. It could be offices as well. There's a lot of flexibility in this, okay? So this is also covered in the plan. And the other thing that I want to touch on is workplaces are changing dramatically. So you guys also we have Lockheed Martin here in the town of Salina, right? And that campus was built in the 50s and 60s. It was cutting edge at that time. Now cutting edge is Google's campus in California, right? Or Amazon's campus in downtown Seattle, right? So we also want to make sure that the town is allowing for forward-thinking redevelopment or development of new employment areas in Salina. And you guys, Salina has always been a very important employment center in Onondaga County. And we want to make sure that the town is positioned to at least maintain that position, if not even grow it as we move forward. And to do that, we have to be cognizant of changing preferences in the workforce. Workers don't want to be in isolated office park where they can't walk and get something to eat for lunch or grab a cup of coffee or whatever, right? So again, what we're really trying to do with this plan is set the town up for where it needs to go and where the world has been moving as we've been experiencing slow to no growth in our region for a long time. When we're talking about mobility, we're talking about enhancing the town's transportation system so that we're providing for a variety of options for all of your residents and visitors. One of the biggest assets I think you have in the town is your proximity, even though you might say, well, that's in the village, right? Onondaga Lake Park, Onondaga Lake is a huge asset for the town of Salina. And people come from all over the county to go there, right? And I think your residents, and maybe you all go there from time to time. We want to make sure that we're improving and making it the connectivity to the lake and improving the safety of getting there. So for example, the county's been working on the Loop the Lake Trail, right? And the last piece of the Loop the Lake Trail is Route 370, right? Yep. They want to bring the trail around that edge. When that's finished, from Salina, you would be able to get to downtown Syracuse walking, biking, running, without ever having to go on a road. You'd be completely off off-road, you have access to the lake. Vice versa, somebody who's living in downtown Syracuse could hop on their bicycle, go for a run, end up in the village of Liverpool, or places proximate to that are in the town, right? So this is a tremendous asset. We want to make sure that the town is better connected to that asset and better connected from all of your neighborhood areas to the lake, okay? And that means looking at things like bike infrastructure within the town, whether it's in the road network or off-road, making sure that we're providing for those kinds of connections. And the last piece is that there is bus service that services the town of Salina. And we want to make sure that for the town that service gets enhanced. So for example, if there are bus stops, there should be shelters, right? So that people aren't waiting outside in a snowbank, but they're covered, right? So some of these are small things. They require partnership. You have to work with entities like Centro if you want bus shelters in your town. But these are things that we're recommending in the plan. Okay, the last, I said there's 4 themes. This is the last theme, right? It's greenways and blueways. So greenways and blueways you can think of as parks and water systems, right? So we're saying invest in public parks, strengthen connections to Onondaga Lake and its tributaries, which would include Lake Creek, for example, to promote development that consistently enhances the character and livability of the town of Salina. So, for example, if you live, who lives in Mattydale, right? Right now, you know where Lake Creek is, right? And you probably, I'm sure you think of Lake Creek, it's contaminated, right? But it is going to be cleaned up. And as it's cleaned up, there's an opportunity to create connections along Lake Creek to Onondaga Lake and the Lupa Lake Trail, right? So you also are familiar with the Bear Trap Creek Trail, right?
Yeah.
Bear Trap Creek Trail starts at Kmart Plaza, right? So if we redevelop Kmart Plaza, we allow for apartments and a walkable neighborhood there. The folks that live in that new development can get on Bear Trap Creek. Where do they end up?
7th North Street.
At the Lake Creek Transfer Station, right? Which is not the best place. But let's say that they could end up in Onondaga Lake Park without ever having to go on a road, right? Again, that's an asset for the town. Yes?
How would you do that? Because I used to ride my bike on that trail to Liverpool, and I crossed over by Iowa.
Yeah.
But
Well, you would have to cross at some point. You absolutely would have to cross 7th North Street, but that's one crossing. And then once you cross over, there are different options for how this might be done. But one option would be that the trail follows the edge of Lake Creek. You can't do that now, but you could do that in the future. Right? And this is what we're talking about, the future, right? So that's about improving the town's trail network and creating connectivity between your neighborhoods and the lakefront, right? We also know that you have existing parks within the town that are tremendous assets for your neighborhoods, and those need to be continued to be invested in because they are part of what it makes this place a good place to could be raise a family, but also to live and enjoy. And lastly, we do think that there are some opportunities within the town to conserve some of the open space that still exists. So there are some large expanses of wetlands, for example. So one of those is by the ball fields, which I'm blanking on.
Hopkins Road.
Hopkins Road, right? back behind Hopkins Road, there's a huge wetland area that is in the center of a lot of your residential neighborhoods. That could be, there could be a boardwalk in there. There could be lots of things that are done to make that more like a park, right? Right now, it's just, most of it is individually, privately owned. But if we thought long-term about that, what is the highest and best use of that area? Probably will never be developed because it's wetlands and would be very challenging to develop. But it could be another additional park area for the town. So,
I mean, it's the start of Bloody Brook.
start a Bloody Brook, right, yeah. So these are, all this stuff is built into this document, and I think can help to guide town decision-making as you're moving forward. And then at the end is the future land use plan, which is where I started, right? Is thinking about how do we update our regulatory framework in the town to allow us to kind of catch up to where the market is, so that I think the town can take the best advantage of the development pressure that's coming to Onondaga County in a way that is additive for the town's future. Build your tax base, build your quality of life in the town, and makes it easier to attract and retain residents as we move forward. That's all I've got. Yeah.
I had a reverse issue recently with another client about how do you create, like, there is no rule to create special districts in the village. And it doesn't exist. But there are some different areas where you would like to be able to do that, but don't specifically have to do with sidewalks, park trails, or
So we're about to enter a new phase, especially with Micron. I just hope it doesn't turn into what it was like when I lived in Seattle. And in fact, I bought a house for $45,000 in 1978. And that house then, within 5 years, doubled in price. Within the next year, doubled again, doubled and doubled and doubled. And so prices went through the roof. It's incredibly important that we don't allow that to happen to the town of Salina so that people can live here. And literally, a friend of mine bought a house for $55,000 near the University of Washington. He has offered millions of dollars for that piece of land. It's near UW, it's near a really nice shopping center, and people are always telling him, well, you know, how about $200,000? More than we offered you before. How about $2,250,000? And he goes, no, I'm happy where I am. So we have to realize if we don't watch out, that kind of pressure could come here and wipe out entire neighborhoods, really. And there are some realtors that have been going up and down streets and taking pictures of everybody's home. And those people are there to buy two lots, probably say, well, we're just really expanding this house and we want to keep the gas. And then, I mean, that's what we're gonna see. It seems impossible, but I've watched it happen. And that was, when I moved to Seattle, there were still billboards up that said, would the last person who leaves Seattle, please turn out the lights, because that was after Boeing went bust. And then boom, it just happened. So Micron will bring people here. They're gonna want things that are much different than we have here right now. And we're gonna have to adapt, but preserve our communities and our neighborhoods, okay? Yes, ma'am.
Are you gonna
walk my neighborhood and, I know what's rental and what's not, and I know they talked past about a rental registry, holding the landlords accountable, but some of them just don't care, the tenants. But the
So-
landlords don't do anything to improve it.
So this is the opening of the conversation, okay? We really need to have a conversation in which the people in this town take control of what our development looks like for the people that are here and for the people that will be coming in, okay? So it's just the beginning of the conversation, and it's going to be up to you and to the people on the board to really make sure that Salina becomes, once again, really a pivotal and important part of Onondaga County. So with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
May we delay that for just a
Close.
minute?
Move on.
May we delay that for just a minute? Liza? All right, well, Liza was gonna talk, but basically, we've been talking to Jake at the Recreation Department. And he is putting together ideas for the programs that we want to do as a town with the recreation this year and upcoming years. And he has a survey, and there's a QR code out there.
Back table.
Back table? Okay. And there's going to be a survey that starts on Wednesday where people can have input as to what they would like to see in the future of our recreation program.
And I would make sure, I'm gonna make sure that Jake also puts a link, because I know that I have issues with QR codes sometimes. So I'll make sure there's a link on the website.
Okay, now we can adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.